Okay.
You want to be chairman by default, Cameron?
Me? Sure.
You don't have a vice chair, so.
So, calling the tree board meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is introductions. I'll start off by introducing myself. My name is Cameron Tuck. I'm the assistant planner for the city, and I'm the staff liaison. And I'll hand it over to Councilmember Goldman.
Hello, I'm Councilmember Larry Goldman. I'm the City Council liaison to the tree board.
Hi, I'm Sandra LeVar, and I am one of the newer tree board members. And Marty?
Marty Byrne, tree board member.
Doug Sprugel, tree board member, I guess the most senior one here. She's not saying much. Mandy?
Hi, I'm Mandy Parker. I'm one of the new tree board members, and this is my first meeting since being on tree board, so I'm excited to be here.
Can you tell us a little
And
about you?
yes, John.
I'm
Whoops.
John Brew. I'm a liaison from the Stewardship Foundation.
Hi everyone, I'm Shavik Roy Chaudhary. I'm a Lake Forest Park resident on 155th Street.
Okay, I think that's everyone. Next up is the adoption of agenda. Can I get does anyone have any changes that they'd like to propose for the agenda?
Mhm.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
So the agenda has been approved as adopted, I guess. I don't know. Next up are citizen comments. So we are going to be enforcing a 3-minute time limit to comments. Is there anyone that would like to provide any comment today? So I take that no one wants to provide comment. Okay, next up is communication. The first item under communication is the LFP eNews article for the digital illustrated tree walks. When Richard and I met last week, he wanted, I'm gonna let Mike D in. So when I met with Richard last week, he just wanted me, or he wanted to point out that the tree board put an article in for the July eNews about the updated digital illustrated tree walks. And yeah, I'm not sure if there's much more to say about that. Next up is Municode. So the city clerk's office, well, not the city clerk's office, but the city clerk has indicated that they would like for boards and commissions to start publishing agendas, minutes, and then video recordings of meetings onto Municode. They've been using Municode for city council. I'm not sure when they started using it, probably within the past year. But we're going to be moving to that format. It's a lot more streamlined.
So it's more recent than that. It's we're about a month into using Municode for city council meetings.
Okay. Yeah, the interface is a lot more streamlined. Honestly, it's a bit easier to craft the agendas and to put them together, to publish them. And I think it's going to be a really great resource for the public. We aren't going to update it retroactively. So there's going to be a separate page with archive agendas from starting last month to, I think, 2017 was when 2017 or 2018 was when the tree board was formed. So yeah, next up is old business. Under item A, Julia was supposed to speak on that, but she's not in attendance today. So the next item is the 2022 tree inventory contract search update. I know that Doug and Councilmember Goldman have both been involved in the process of finding a contractor to work with for this year's tree inventory. Would one of you be able to speak on the status of that?
Well, I guess. So the city received bids from, or I guess they were bids, preliminary applications, I guess, from 4 companies. We all reviewed them. We were all really quite consistent. The 2 of them were significantly better than the other 2. So those 2 were invited in to actually make presentations a week ago, Larry, was it? Cameron? Roughly.
Yeah, about a week ago.
And there was a consensus, I thought, that one of them was better than the other. Yeah, one of them clearly wanted the job very badly and knew a lot about it and had done a fair bit of preparation for the meeting. The other was just sort of prepared to answer questions and was winging it. And they're probably very competent, but I was certainly very much in favor of the one that really wanted the job. Larry, you.
Yeah, I would say, and also to provide a bit more context, the search committee was myself, Doug, planning director Steve Bennett, and then the new city arborist Harvey. So the 4 of us were in agreement as to which company we should make an offer to. Yeah, that's basically where it is. I believe that Director Bennett would have made the offer at the end of last week. I'm actually not sure where things stand in terms of them. I guess the next step is to actually work out the proper contract and then have a kickoff meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
And I should add, I think that I was very pleased with the people we got. I think they'll do a good job. It was not in any way the thing that, well, we've got to pick somebody, let it be them. They were good. And they had done a lot of prep for it. They were going to use LiDAR maps of our plots, or the old plots, to go back and find the new plots and to compare them and look at it. So they seem to me like they're going to do a good job.
Nice. Okay. Next item is replacement tree plantings in the city. I think Dick was going to speak on this item. I'm not sure if there was anyone else that was going to speak on this item. So I guess we can skip this one. The next one is the outreach initiatives update. And last week when Dick and I had met, he indicated that he was going to let everyone know that Sandra has prepared a document. So we'll be addressing that under new business, under the public outreach plan. So I guess the item's off the list. The next item is the tree code amendments update. I'm not sure of the status. I know that there was, I believe there was a public hearing, but I know that Councilmember Goldman can speak more on this.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Yeah, so the city had I'm always mixing up whether it was a work session or a committee of the whole, but it was one of those in June where the city council had a discussion about the tree code amendments. Overall, we were positive on them. There were 1.5 topics that we are going to be going, I think, into a bit more detail on. The half is native trees. So the city council was very much in favor of native trees and having stronger language, telling people that, that there should be, when a non-native tree is removed, it should be replaced with a native tree. Where we wanted to look a little more deeply was, I think the language is strongly in favor of evergreens. And the city council just wanted to have a discussion about if that was the right preference, or might that be a bit too prescriptive, and just trying to strike the balance on what is ecologically friendly versus what is more practical. But overall, the city council is very much in favor of stronger language supporting native trees. The other topic dealt with the changes to tree diameters for what would constitute an exceptional tree. And I think the kind of reading the room, the city council would like to see a data-driven approach for how we set those diameters. And I think that ties in nicely with the tree inventory. So the plan, the company's proposed schedule would do the tree inventory in fall, and then there would be a wealth of data to be analyzed in fourth quarter of this year. So by the end of this calendar year, we should have a whole bunch of tree inventory data. And then I believe the plan would be to use that data to kind of come up with some thresholds for what do we think, for different species, should they have the same diameter threshold for exceptional trees? Should it, what does the data tell us about comparing, let's say, Douglas firs versus maples versus others? So I believe that's what the city council is planning. For the other code amendments, and including the fix to the appeals process, so that there isn't that loophole where the permit has been issued, but before someone can appeal it, they could cut the tree down. City council is very much in favor of that. That is moving through. The legal process is, we outlined the changes that you suggested. Those have been forwarded to the State Department of, I believe it's Commerce, and they have to kind of check it over to make sure they're okay with it. Once they've given their thumbs up, then we could actually pass those code revisions. From what Director Bennett was saying, likely timeframe is optimistically end of this month, possibly moving into early to mid-August. At this point, it just kind of depends on how quickly the Department of Commerce can look through the code. So for all the other code revisions that were proposed, that will likely come shortly after it's approved by Commerce. And then for the others, we're just going to be having more deliberations, having some public input, and then just seeing what the tree inventory data is telling us about the trees in the city. So that's my update on the tree code.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, also, sorry, one more thing. And actually, Doug and I, but mostly Doug, had been doing some mathematical analysis of the old tree inventory from, I believe, 2010, just to kind of get a feel for, if that was our data set, what might that say about tree populations? So I would very much welcome if the tree board wanted to be involved in the new inventory data analysis side of things. So I think that's something, Doug, if you wanted to say a few words about your analysis.
Yeah, I actually asked a number of years ago if the data that Larry and I have been working with was available, and I was told it wasn't. There was only broad size categories. So finding that there actually is data to base these things on was kind of nice to learn. I'm completely in agreement with Larry that what we should be doing is looking at it, deciding, looking at what the population of, say, Douglas firs looks like, and what percentage of them we want to protect or give extra protection to. The same thing for our other species. We could do that with the data we have now, but it seems if we're going to have new data in 6 months, again, I'm with Larry, let's wait till we have the new data. So at this point, that part of our recommendation to just sort of in abeyance, it's going to stay the way it was. Larry?
Yeah, I don't believe the council, from from the discussions, and it's on video if you wanted to look through, I think it was our first June, again, either work session or committee of the whole, I'm blanking on which it was. I think it was the work session from the beginning of June. I don't believe the council is ready to move forward on that part of the code revisions. So I suspect that's going to be, the tree diameters part will be separated out from the other suggested revisions. Since that's, there's no reason to not move on the appeals process fixes while we're waiting for the tree inventory data.
Some of this is going to be basically a political decision. I mean, does the council think it's worthwhile to present 1%, the biggest 1% or the biggest 5%, or what's so? And that's not a scientific issue. So it's going to have to be some interplay back and forth.
Yes, and I think what I would like to, that I can't speak for the other council members. I think what would be good is if we had sort of a menu of options. That is, if we wanted to protect 1% as exceptional, here's what the diameters would look like. If we wanted to protect 3% or 5%, here's what the diameters would look like. And that way the council could make an informed decision based on the data, and we'd have a few options to choose from.
So just as a matter of information, I mean, again, I think it's fine for the council not to move forward, but the data, the way that the suggestions we made, which basically set everything at 36 inches, would have protected about 0.6% of all the trees in the city, about 1% of the native trees, about 2.8% of the red cedars, and about 2.1% of the Doug firs. And currently there's no protection for non-native trees. That is something we could discuss. The previous survey found a 57-inch diameter tulip tree on one of the plots. And to me, that's worth saving, even if it's not a native species. But that's something that we and the council should both discuss.
And to provide a little bit of context, so it was 2017, so that predates my time. That was when the council last revised the tree code. And if you look at what the code was before that, there were dozens and dozens of tree species with diameters listed, mostly native, but some non-native. In 2017, it was drastically simplified to cover, I believe, 6 or 7 species. And so that, I think, can also be an open question from the data. Are there trees that are not currently on the list for exceptional status that are present in a large quantity in the city and might be worthy of being added to that list? So I think that could also be under consideration. Again, I think it's really going to be based on what the inventory is telling us about what trees are present in the city and how big they are.
Yeah, it's interesting. We have 7 species called out right now. 4 of them, the last survey had 765 trees. 4 of the species are represented by 3 trees or less. So we basically know nothing about their size distribution. The ones we know something about are big leaf maple, red cedar, western red cedar, and Douglas fir. My own preference would be to set essentially a common size limit for all trees, and then maybe make exceptions for a couple of species like big leaf maple that don't typically get quite that big. But it would certainly simplify things just to say 36 inches.
From my understanding of the current tree code, there is a provision within the code that does allow the city's arborist discretion for any trees that are distinguishable as being exceptionally large or anything with a unique combination of size, species, age, location, and health. So there is a bit of leeway currently for the city arborist to make a determination on exceptional trees that aren't on the list. But that being said, the current code does only cover 7 species.
Right.
And the other thing I would add, there is a second level called landmark. So any tree that's above 24-inch diameter would be considered a landmark tree. And if someone wants to cut that down, that automatically triggers a major permit requirement, which would be reviewed by the arborist.
Yeah.
So even if there's a large tree that is not one of those 7 species, there would still be a level of the arborist needs to make an individual decision on that, taking into account how big the tree is it in a critical area, is it on a slope? So there would be that level. So those levels of protection are there, and I don't believe that was isn't proposed to be changed with the new with the code revisions. I can see, I do see your point, and I'll relay that the next time the council takes it up, that the argument that setting a common diameter does make things simpler for the public. And I think part of it is just trying to balance that, making it simple, but also following the data. And I'll present both of those arguments to the council as we take up the tree code later on after the inventory.
Okay, so the next item on the list is the 2022 Arbor Day event. I can speak a little bit on it. I know that Dick was going to provide an update. From what I know, he's been working with Harvey to figure out a tree planting location. Initially, they were going to propose a planting near City Hall. There's a bus stop next to the former Bank of America, and there's a spot where there was a tree previously, but I think it was a willow or birch, I forget the species, but it was in decline, so it was removed. And so they proposed planting a tree there to commemorate Arbor Day. But in discussion with the adjacent property owner, which is, I'm going to butcher their name, Merlone Greer, they didn't want to have to deal with the upkeep of the tree. So from my understanding, Dick and Harvey have been looking at different parks within the city to plant in. I think that they are going to plant in Animal Acres, but I could be wrong. Trying to think. Yeah, either Animal Acres or I forget the name of the park. It's like it's off of 37th or 40th. I forget the exact street. Near the elementary school, LFP Elementary, not Brookside.
Do you mean 5 Acre Woods?
Yeah, 5 Acre Woods. Yeah. So they're thinking either Animal Acres or 5 Acre Woods, or Horizon View. That was the third one, Horizon View. So I'm sure that they'll provide an update on that, either at the next meeting or sometime during this month. That's pretty much the status of that. So now we're on to new business. The first item under new business is tree planting at the town center. That was an item that Richard was going to speak on. So I guess we'll table that for the next meeting. And the next item after that is public outreach plan.
Yeah, just going back to the tree planting at town center. Merlone Geyer owns town center, so.
Yeah, I know.
That would be the issue.
I was trying to relay that to Dick when we had met. He's proposing that we plant, that we take away like a couple parking spots in the city, on the city hall parcel, to plant trees, like 1 or 2 trees. And I tried to relay to him that the current property owner of the town center is probably not going to be very receptive to planting more trees. He indicated that the parking lot at the north end near the Vegas Hardware and the Third Place Books doesn't really have that many trees, but from my understanding, the city adopted an updated town center code, and it's a form-based code. And if there were any trees to be planted right now, and the current property owner sells that lot, and then a new person buys it, or a new company buys it, or a developer to develop it, then those trees would be ripped out and it would kind of be a waste, in a way. It wouldn't be a solid investment. But that's something that he wanted to propose to you all. Okay. So public outreach plan. Sandy?
Yeah, can I share my screen or can you bring up the agenda? Not sure.
Let me make you a co-host.
Okay.
You
Okay,
should be able to share your screen.
how do I do that? Oh dear. Okay. Technical difficulties. Well, you all received a copy of the outreach agenda that was the Cameron attached. And so I broke it up into four separate parts. What I did was I took a look at the existing proposal for outreach for a letter to our residents. And then I also kind of took a look at the existing outreach plan for the e-newsletter, the LFP Times, some of the things that are on the city with the websites, the options for communication, things like that. I kind of took a look as a whole on an approach for the city to take for kind of promoting trees and the education and reaching out to citizens and who we might want to touch. So my first proposal was just to stick with what we're doing. So there is an e-newsletter that goes out. There is a content that goes into that for the tree board. There is also that is then also rolled up into the LFP Times. Content is also updated onto the website. So my proposal would be to continue to do that, but target it a little bit more towards seasons or event related. So for example, coming up with a communications media calendar that says we do repeatable content targeted towards the spring planting season, the fall planting season, maintenance seasons, as well as events like Earth Day or Arbor Day. And coming up with content that we can use each year or repeatedly throughout a month so that it is relatable and repeatable, and constituents can see that content multiple times in the same or similar format in order to increase the recognition and kind of repeat that message over and over until it's adopted kind of concept. So in addition to continuing what we've been doing, the next kind of step would be to take the existing social media platforms that exist for the city on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and taking that seasonal and event related content and creating infographics. So we already have tons of outreach content, information that we'd like to pass on to constituents, and targeting that into bite-sized bits of information that can be sent out on a regular schedule, meeting the broader public's need in, again, seasonal or event related. So announcing, here comes Arbor Day, and here's all this great information that we have to pass on to you. And on the off seasons, we might do things like, hey, did you know about the updates to the code? This is passed, this might help you, information like that. Eventually taking that infographic and printing it into postcard that we can then use to mail out, hand out, or post in this town hall, so that if anybody wants that information, they just go in, they pick it up, there it is. We can use it in mailers, it's repeatable. The same thing would be for trifold brochures. So Again, that would be kind of a slightly different format from a postcard, but again, folded up and easily inserted into other communications, included in handouts or posted in the city hall, town hall. So that's really it. More to come. So the next steps for outreach would be gathering that content. So there's an inventory that needs to happen on the existing website. And additionally, there are gaps in that educational content that need to be filled in. Oh, and of course, the website itself, which is the #1 go-to for educational content. And so updating that in order to make sure that it's modern, relevant, and easy to find. So that's it. That's a lot. Questions,
Yeah.
comments, or something to think about, and then, get back to me.
I wanted to point out that the city's going to be working on redesign of our current website. I know that we're kind of trying to go after the format that Kenmore has been using, and model how their site's laid out. But I think it would be probably good to coordinate any
Absolutely.
any
Yes,
sort of new infographics or new information that the tree board would want to have available to the public along with that redesign.
Yes, absolutely. If you could let me know who that is, or maybe more directly, let whoever that is know about me. Feel free to contact me. I would love to offer my insight on website redesign and how to get that to a targeted audience for not only all of our residents, but people who live here, people who own land, people who are developers, etc., business owners. So yeah, that'd be great.
So, Cameron, I can't remember if you sent out the report that the 2010 inventory people did to the whole council, or just to me when I asked for it. Do you remember?
I can't remember, to be honest.
Can you share my screen? Can you let me share my screen? I know.
Yeah, let me make you a co-host.
The thing is, Sandra, it has a whole bunch of information you could include on the page about how wonderful trees are.
Yes.
Yeah, the report is just full of wonderful things about trees. It's not terribly informative about quantitative stuff, but well, actually, it is informative about quantitative stuff. It's just.
So actually, I should probably put out there. One of the ways that I like to work is just throw it at me. Just send it all to me, and then I'm able to organize that up into understandable and targeted audiences and whatnot. So I am pleased to hear that the website will be updated. I too struggle to find the information. So I think I did pretty good, but send me more. Let's get it up there. Let's get the website updated. Let's get the newsletter, the LFP Times, and our social media accounts kind of rolling on a regular, repeatable communication.
So here is a page out of can people see this?
Yeah.
Showing up. So this is the information they provided us in the report 10 years ago. And I can certainly send you a copy of the report. But some of those numbers look really good in your outline there.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, do I have to unshare?
No, we can see it.
Yeah.
I can see
I'm
it.
trying to unshare. You've seen what it is. I'm trying to figure out how to unshare it now.
Right.
Oh, come on. You don't want that.
All right. So I think unless there's any follow-up questions, let's go ahead and you can go ahead and forward that off to Cameron. Any questions, and we'll keep on going forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So that wraps it up for new business. Now we have reports and announcements. For Frontlines with Cameron, I don't really have anything, to be honest, to share. Harvey had intended to prepare a list of the tree permits for June, but he wasn't able to get to it because he's been out of the office. So I'll make sure to send that out to you all once he has it prepared. Oh, an update on, I guess this would be a good time to provide an update on Sound Transit's ST3 bus rapid transit project. So from my understanding, they've been applying for right-of-way permits to do investigative geotechnical borings. So it's sort of like a preliminary part of their project. To be honest, I'm not sure what stage they're at beyond that. I don't know what exactly percentage design they're at, but my understanding is that either at 40% or 60% design, I believe it's 60%, they'll apply for permits with the city to actually build the BRT, the extra lanes along 522. That being said, I think it'll take a significant more amount of time because of all of the there's a lot of moving parts involved with their project, and so I don't know when they'll start applying for the construction permits, but I can't see it being within the next 6 months, and that's just sort of my opinion, I guess. So yeah, I just want to provide an update on that because I know that the board has been interested in it. I think that's it.
Just quickly, I've sent a copy of that report to Sandra and you, Cameron, and I think I copied you, Larry. I am told that I can't legally send it to the entire tree board. Cameron has to do that. So
Yeah,
but I can send it to one or two people on the tree board. I've done that.
I'll go ahead and forward it to everyone. The next item is agenda for next meeting. I think we have quite a number of items since Richard wasn't able to attend. Does anyone else or does anyone have any items that they think would be pertinent to discuss at next month's meeting? Hear that as a no. So I've been in discussion with Corey Roche. She's the staff liaison to the Climate Action Committee, and she let me know that they've expressed interest in having their chair attend next month's tree board meeting. So I believe the chair's name, her name is Sarah Phillips. I'm going to be in discussion with Richard about that, but I think likely she'll probably be at the next meeting to discuss the Climate Action Committee's work plan and see if there's any sort of collaboration that you all can come up with. I think besides that, we can adjourn the meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Sandra motioned, Doug second. Okay. 7:50 p.m. Okay. Thank you all for attending and bearing with me running the meeting.
Cameron, Just a
Yeah,
little point of order from an observer. So I don't believe the board actually voted. I mean, it's
oh,
a really minor thing, but yeah, just make sure that it's on record as an actual vote.
okay, sorry. Can I get a vote? Okay, unanimous. And I don't think I got a vote for the adoption of the agenda either. I'll presume it as unanimous, sorry. Thank you for pointing that out, Councilmember Goldman. Okay. Bye.